Hi guys, it's Miko Martinez, and in this video we're going to take a look at Joe and Bella, and specifically the changes they made over the last year, the scale their organic traffic from around less than 500 visitors a month this time last year to over 7,000 visitors a month from SEO, right? I estimate they're making at the very least $10,000 a month in revenue from SEO, and realistically probably at between 20 to $30,000, right? Just based on my estimates. And in this video, we're going to take a look at what they did over the last year to get results like this. This is a follow-up to the video I made yesterday, so if you haven't seen that yet, I recommend you take a look at that. If you don't know who I am a Shopify SEO expert. I've been in the SEO industry for over 6 years now. I've worked on over 200 projects, and I've helped scale some of them to over 7 figures in annual revenue. All right, so let's get to the video. So what I wanted to do for this video is to look at what Joe and Bella looks like right now and use the Wayback Machine to basically compare the sites, how it used to look like a year ago and how it looks like right now. So we're going to skip technical SEO. I'm going to assume that they fix that. I'm going to quickly go over link building right now because I think it's very important. And it's important to understand that yes, we're going to take a look at the changes on the site, like on-page SEO, like the content, etc. But it's also important to understand the other factors involved, right? Like link building. Like you can see here that they have built a lot of backlinks, whether intentionally or acquired a lot of backlinks, whether intentionally or unintentionally over the last year, right? But before that, they didn't have much backlinks. So you can tell that some effort has been made to acquire more backlinks over the last year. Some of this will happen naturally as a website gets more visitors or gets more traffic. It will naturally acquire more backlinks. But yeah, definitely some intentional link building was done over the last year. Another thing, because you've seen their referring domains go from like 60, 70 to nearly 400 today. Another thing that's important to point out, though, is that if you look at their DR, right? Their DR in July of last year was 30, and their DR today is 31, despite having like 300 plus more referring domains. So it's very, important to know that, when it comes to DR, like DR is not a great measure of domain authority or backlink or the strength of a backlink profile. You can see that here, right? There's significantly more referring domains, there's significantly more traffic, yet DR has not changed. So this is just a good reminder that DR is not the end all be all, right? It's just a number, it's just a measure, and it's not a good measure of backlink authority. If you really want to measure the strength of a backlink profile, you want to look at the specific referring domains, the DR of those domains, the traffic of those domains, etc., right? Like if you want a more accurate measure of the strength of a backlink profile. All right, and now let's get to specifically what I really wanted to go over in this video, which is the content on the site. Like how did the site change over the last year, right? This time last year, it had less than 500 visitors a month. Now it's grown to 8,000, 7,000 visitors a month, making at least $10,000. I'm assuming much greater than that. That's a very conservative estimate. I'm assuming at least $20,000, to be honest, from SEO alone, right? And so what changes did they make on site? So this is how the site used to look like 1 year ago. It's a very amateur looking site. The navigation doesn't look too great. They did have a blog. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Yeah, and yeah, so there's just limited pages here, right? They had men's adaptive pants, adaptive apparel, women's adaptive pants. They have some blog posts down here, right? But very limited pages, okay? Yeah, very limited pages. They were trying to publish a bunch of blog content, though it looks like they were trying to publish once a week, right? And you can actually take a look at, yeah, so I already clicked that at this point in time. They had 65 pages live, and they were getting around 414 visitors a month, right? Fast forward to today, they're getting over 7,000 visitors, and they have nearly 500 pages live, right? And that's a mix between collections, blog posts, etc., right? So you can see the importance of just publishing a bunch of content. And the reason behind that and why that works is because when you have a lot more content, you're providing more answers to queries. You're showing the search engine that you are the expert or authority in your industry, right? if you want to rank for, let's say, adaptive clothing, adaptive pants, shirts, etc., it's not enough to just have those collection pages anymore. It may have worked in the past, but these days you need to show the search engine that you are the expert or authority in your industry. So you need to publish a lot of supporting content, whether those are more collections, more products, but probably more blog posts around adaptive clothing to rank for those keywords. And that's basically what they did over the last year, right? They went from 65 pages to nearly 500 pages. And that, that's what really helped improve their traffic, right? And it's not just publishing content willy-nilly. The content has to be quality, right? And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to go take a look at, let's say, so for example, gripper socks is something that they didn't have a year ago, and they rank really well for that. It's one of their best pages at the moment. It's driving, according to Ahrefs, 13% of all the traffic on their site. So yeah, see, you just need you can't rank for a query if you don't have a page answering that query. So yeah, you want to publish as much content, relevant content as possible. And you want to publish content that's actually quality, right? And I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So what else do they rank for? They rank for, let's say, men's adaptive shirts, right? That's something that exists on both of these, the site a year ago and today. So we're going to compare what this page, this specific page, looks like a year ago versus today, right? So this is what the site, this specific page looked like a year ago. H1 is optimized for SEO. They're trying to rank for men's adaptive shirts. Okay, that's good. The URL seems to be men's adaptive shirts. The title tag used to be men's adaptive shirts. So some basic SEO has been done, right, with regards to the most important on-page SEO elements. But that's pretty much it. Like, they had one product, and that's basically what the whole page looked like, right? And you can understand why this is not good for SEO. This is not even good for user experience, because, if someone wants to buy a shirt, you'd assume that they would like options, right? And that's basically what they did here, right? So this is the new men's adaptive shirts collection page. They still have the H1, which I think is a little tricky because it's an image. I would prefer to just have it as text, but yeah, it's still optimized for SEO, the URL, the title tag. And then they have the product grid, right? They have more options now, which is really good. And I think what makes the biggest difference is that they have a lot more content now on the page, right? Adding more content on the page in terms of like a longer description, right? And just answering more questions, like what are features of adaptive shirts, types of adaptive shirts available at Joe and Bella. So you're just answering more questions that a potential customer might have, right? Adding more content to the page like this provides the search engine with more context as to what the page is about. It increases relevance. It increases your topical authority. You're really showing the search engine, okay, these guys, this brand must be the expert in adaptive clothing because they have so much content, not just in terms of like the number of pages, but the amount of content on the page. They have to be the expert or authority on adaptive clothing. So they deserve to rank. And that's, probably what helped them get all this traffic, right? And yeah, they have more frequently asked questions. They have internal links. Adding more content to the page gives you more internal linking opportunities. You create that topical map and you internally link them together to show the search engine, okay, these guys are answering all these queries. That's, they must be the expert or authority in this industry, right? And they just published a lot more collection pages. And again, as I mentioned in the previous video, I don't think this is it. I think their traffic is going to 3x, maybe even 5x over the next year or so, because they just have so much more collection pages, right? Like cancer patients clothing. They have adaptive clothing for cancer patients. And yeah, again, if you scroll down, they have a lot of content down there. The need for adaptive clothing in cancer patients, the clothing challenges faced by cancer patients. If you show the search engine that you are the best result, right? Because you are answering all the queries in your niche or industry, you will eventually reap the rewards of that in terms of traffic increase, ranking increase, and of course, the most important thing, revenue increase, right? So yeah, you can see that the site is completely different from how it was last year. It's night and day, right? Let's look at one more page, like adaptive pants. Let's look at adaptive pants for men, right? Here you have 3 options. Again, it's just the H1, the product grid. That's how a lot of these e-commerce brands start out, but that's not enough to optimize a collection page for SEO. you need to add more content, which they've done very well here, right? And yes, it's a lot of work, but again, that's what you need to do to get results like this. And I think, again, as I mentioned again, I think this is just the start. I think they're going to get a lot more content, a lot more traffic in the near future, right? So yeah, that's really what I wanted to cover. Again, this is our training on optimizing collection pages for SEO. Here you'll find our suggested structure for collection pages. This is a good section to show you. Most e-commerce brands look like this, just the H1 short description and a product grid. That's usually where they stop. The problem with that is that it's, without a lot of content, it's hard for the search engine to understand what the page is about, making it difficult for the search engine to actually rank you for that page. They're going off very little information. So we want to add more content, make it easier for the search engine to understand what the page is about, and basically give them a reason to improve or rank you higher, rank that specific page higher, right? And that's pretty much how you can outrank large retailers like Amazon, Target, because that's something they can't do, right? Usually their collection pages are just like a search results page like this, right? And they can't add specific niche or industry expert content on those collection pages, right? This is the structure we suggest: category name, short description, product grid, and then a detailed category description below that, some frequently asked questions, and even some featured reviews at the bottom. And that's pretty much what Joe and Bella did here. They've done it really well, and they've implemented this site-wide across a lot of keywords. So it makes sense why they're getting the results they're getting, okay? And yeah, if you want access to this training, it's available in our school community. There's a link in the description. In that school community, there's a masterclass there. And it's not just with this one training on that masterclass, it's a 15 plus module masterclass covering everything related to Shopify SEO, technical SEO, on-page SEO, off-page SEO. So if you're interested in checking that out, there's a link in the description. But yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for listening. Cheers.